Hello, TCG here, and welcome back. Looking ahead, the series where I break down and analyse the meta, what's happening over in Japan, how will it impact home. Now, I've spent a lot of time talking about Mega Pokemon, finding how the meta is really adapting to the Mega Evolution set, but looking at the other key strong archetypes that are doing well against the Mega Pokemon, you can see some of the new buffs they got from new cards, or some changes that they're making. I also want to say thank you so much for support on the last video. It really was amazing to see you guys really enjoying that style of content. Granted, the views may not be there, but seeing all the feedback and support from this one, there will definitely be more of these topics in the future. And without further ado, let's jump right into the video and some of the brand new cards that got revealed. So we have got some cards which we've had for a bit, but I'm finally getting around to talk about it. And that, of course, is Mega Diancie EX. Basically a 300 HP 3-price Pokemon, 100% HP, but has the ability of reducing damage onto this Pokemon by 30. Another attack for Garland Ray, does 120 damage, and we may discard up to 2 energies from this Pokemon, and that does 120 damage for each energy you discard. 240 damage for 2 psychic energies. It's not exactly too bad. He's splashable into Gardevoir, but honestly, not as strong as I would have hoped for. Mega Sharpedo EX is a card which I really like. It's H1 330 HP with free retreat. Basically, very similar stats to Mega Manectric. The attack Greedy Fang does 70 damage and you get to draw 2 cards. That's really, really powerful. But the other attack is Hungry Draw, doing 120 damage, and if this Pokemon 8 damage comes on, does 150 more damage. 270 damage, yes and no, that's a little bit low, but we've got some great damage modifiers like Black Belt's expertise, Maximum Belt, and you've got some other cool tools as well to go into your disposal. This actually could be really strong. So enough we get the damage counts on. Enter the new Toxtricity. This is an amazing support Pokemon, 140 HP to retreat cost with the bad upper ability. Once you're in turn, you may search your deck for 1 basic Dark Energy attached to one of your bench Dark Pokemon. If you can do, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon, shuffle your deck afterwards. This I think is really strong. This is basically Gardevoir, but from the deck instead of a discard pile. I think this is really strong. This can easily power up your Sharpedo very quickly. You can power up in any deck which really requires some Dark Energy, chuck some energy switches in. Well, now you've got a way to power up your Monkey Dories from the deck, which I really, really like. You can set up 2 Monkey Dories straight away, as long as you've got some energy switches to your disposal. I think this is a great energy acceleration for Dark. If you are sacrificing event space and potentially a 2-2 split in your deck, it's about 4 card split. But I think a good way to get energy acceleration, especially with Mega Torpedo, is great. And I can really see this archetype work really well. Of course, having Dark type, you can hit against Gardevoir for weakness. We also have a brand new Moltres, which is an amazing single price attacking option. For 1 energy, it does 110 damage against an opponent's Pokemon EX, or 20 damage if it's not an EX. Now this is straight because it's an instant great response against the likes of Tilmas Ogerpon and Genesect. A way for you to instant one-hit KO them with 1 energy is amazing. The thing about this deck in likes of Golden Go Dragapult, even likes of Either Side Version, just a single one-off copy in a deck where you already are running likes of Fire Energy is amazing. It's a good way to have a good response in this one, so you are hitting those for weakness. We've also got some new Charmanders and Charmeleon that did get revealed. The Charmeleon is just an additional 10 more HP, so now it's 110 HP on a stage 1, which is honestly really, really powerful for Charizard. But as Charmander has 80 HP, granted may have a 2 retreat cost, but has an amazing ability Nimble, where it actually have a 0 retreat cost if it has no energy to it. We do have some great new trainer cards got revealed. Winsley's move is quite scary and exactly what I was talking about why Mega Gengar can be really much a threat. The top 7 cards of your deck. Choose a dark Pokemon you find that onto your bench, shuffle the other cards face down, put them at the bottom of your deck. You can't play this card on your first turn. Well, you know I said about Mega Gengar, you might have like a 2-1-2 split of Gengar or a 1-0-1 with a rare candy to add into this one. Well, now son, we can just play this with Academy at Night and Gengar. Yes, that may be a little bit more combo pieces, but it's much more easier to get set up. You can go straight away to get a secret box and get all these whole combo pieces straight away. That is absolutely terrifying, especially on the second turn. It's straight away putting out there, making all your dark Pokemon if they're 2 prices, single prices, or Gengar a 2-price Pokemon. This could be really, really scary. That Monkey Dory deck, which I talked about with last week, with the likes of Petron giving it 0 price cards, well now suddenly this Grimsley is absolutely amazing for this type of deck, and it's really going to put the pressure right now on how aggressive Gengar decks can really be right now. Yes, I know you need a lot to get it set up, but if you team up nicely with Cyphermate's Code-Breaking in the night the turn before, Academy at Night, even that and Gumshoes, way to put Pokemon control of a deck, this can easily be worked very well. Fire Breather is another amazing supporter card, which lets you search deck for up to 7 basic fire energies and put them into your hand. This is obviously incredibly strong, especially in likes of Charizard. An instant way to get our energies, press them put into play with the likes of Oricorio EX, or it's a good way to play in Goldengo, where you actually search deck for 7 basic energies straight away. We can team in the likes of Golden Go with the likes of Energy Recycler, Shuffle them in, or his Fire Breather. This is great. Now also potentially we go more a fire style deck as another way to get our energies and Golden Go. Maybe the Ether Typhlosion line could be really strong. People were playing Ether eventually to get 3. Now Fire Breather to get 7. That's honestly incredibly strong. That's basically 350 damage you're doing right there at one supporter. It's nearly as strong as the likes of Energy Surge Pro, which is an ace spec, and you can play one of them in your deck. Another good fire card we did get is this Heat Burner, which you can discard a basic fire energy from your hand in order to play this one, and choose a Pokemon tool, special energy, or stadium card your opponent has in play and discard it. It's a good way to get a good discarding factor. Wonder Patch is a card which has been revealed for quite a few weeks, but finally get around to talk about this one. It's Dark Patch, is Agro Patch Part 4 Psychic Pokemon. Actually, basic psychic energy from Discopile to 20 psychic Pokemon. Now there is 2 very good energy acceleration from the Discopile 4 psychics to get around with this one. I think this is really strong, obviously, when Gardevoir X rotates, especially when we're playing like some Mega Gardevoir X, becoming that's a main way how we're going to play the deck. And honestly, it is definitely a very powerful card, obviously, to get the 4 energy you can get out from this one. But right now, it's not going to probably see as much play, maybe in other sort of decks instead of Gardevoir. I think it's a very, very powerful one. We should definitely be picking up 4 of this ones when the set gets released, I believe, in November for us. Now, let's actually see how the meta is really sort of evolving right now. And it has evolved a lot since we last talked about this one. Back then, we just had Dragapult and Gardevoir as the S-tier or bracket. Now we have 5, so over 50% of the game, about 65% of decks pretty much all the time. Sorry, I believe it's nearly 70% of archetypes are Dragapult, Gardevoir, Reaching Bolt, Go, and Marnie's Grimmsnarl. That is a huge number I've seen right now here. And I would definitely say those are definitely the 5 powerful most archetypes right now. They gain the most from the new set, and I think they're just in a really good position. In A tier, we have got Charizard, the only one there being 7.7%. And in B tier, we do have the likes of the Mega Lucario, Tera Box, which is the new addition, Cynthia's Garchomp, Mega Venusaur, Archaudon, and the likes of N-Throg. Also, apologies for hearing some ringing in the background. That's just from where I'm staying right now, and apologies for that. But honestly, looking at this meta game right now, the decks which have gained a lot of new cards are definitely up there in the top. Dragapult became obviously a very powerful sort of one, especially having a great sort of finish at the World Championships. I also think it gains a lot from like the Leader's Determination, a great shuffle draw 6 or draw 8 if you're picking no prize cards. They make Dragapult really, really formidable in the early sort of style turns, making you really go for the Buddy Lock, try not to take as many prize cards as possible so you can maximize your draw stage as possible. Gardevoir is kind of like throwing away from like some Mega Gardevoir EX, which everyone thought was always the must one of, but most people right now, I would say potentially about 60-70% of our decks aren't running Mega Gardevoir EX. It's still quite common and it's still popular in some decks, but I would say 30-40% of decks are already playing Mega Gardevoir EX and only really for one of the big late game attacking option, Raging Bulk and Kangaskhan, very powerful. But Go is just in a really good spot right now. I think it does have a great sort of matchup overall. Again, it didn't really gain as many new cards, but I think it's one of these strong sort of archetypes, which is this can keep up with the metagame right now. It actually has a good deal against Mega Pokemon and some of the most powerful archetypes, but it can be very difficult for likes of Dragapult to actually get the big one-hit kill on this one. The big one, which we're calling it the fraud source catcher, is Marnie's Grimmsnarl. It's performed really abysmal in our sort of metagame. It did really poorly at Worlds, but it's done very well over Japan. It gained the likes of course, the Laser Determination, which is going to be in nearly every single archetype. But another thing as well, which it has also gained, is that new Yveltal, which is a dark Pokemon which requires for 1 dark energy. It's basically Maractus's corner. And I believe it has 1 retreat cost to have 2. So it's obviously a much more better sort of Pokemon right now. And obviously works well with dark energies and can be used as a single price attacking option. Charizard, of course, we have Laser Determination and Psyduck. And it kind of works well, kind of going towards the maximum belt as a way of proving him. And also the B tier, one of the biggest sort of decks which kind of like come back out right now is like the Tera Box, which we will talk about a little bit later on. And I think this becomes a really good spot right now, as most people are cutting Shaman from their deck. So World Tournament Open, especially in the early games, is really, really powerful right now. And also you gain some 2 amazing attacking options and draw factors, like of the Mega Kangaskhan, as well as also Mega Marwell. And of course, I really love likes of no even Explosion, but I was on about the likes of Cynthia's Garchomp. I think it's a really, really powerful card, especially with the Forest of Giant Plants reprint, the way for you to buff out some amazing huge attacks out absolutely nowhere from your second turn. So I would say this metagame is really reflective of some of the new cards we gained. Some of the decks which are obviously gained the most from this one, I would like some Dragapult, Cynthia's Garchomp, Charizard, and I would say Gardevoir have gained a lot of great support right now. Some cards as well, which I think is in a good position, which because of the metagame is like some Charizard, Marnie's Grimmsnarl, and N-Throg, and Tera Box is a good way to respond to the metagame, as no one is really playing Shaman, so more on that just a little bit. Now, let's actually look at some of these strong decks which are doing really well, kind of the new buffs they kind of gained. So the first one, of course, is Dragapult. What is the most common way to play this one? And I've been looking at the list, and this is definitely the most more common sort of approach we've seen this one. A very thick kind of Dusknoir, which I think is great. It's a way for you to actually deal with like sort of against Golden Goats, a way for you to KO anything above 200 HP, which I think is a great way. The energy split is very similar to one that had happened in Worlds, the second place list. And I would say definitely is the most sort of common approach about how we're using energies right now. The 4 Lilies Determination, I think, has taken away from like sort of the professor's research, and I think this is a great shuffle draw 6 or draw 8. We've already talked about how powerful it is, especially with the underlights of Badulok, the Monkey Dory, the Halucha, the Vladimir Luna, all these amazing good sort of support Pokemon, which we've seen in here, and definitely a high count of Gusting Effect with 3 Counter Catch and 2 Boss's Orders. Not many things really have changed about right now from the list, and I would definitely say the Liz Determination really has helped Dragapult really compel up to the top. We talked also about Gardevoir kind of like completely ditching the Mega Gardevoir and going straight forward to the other sort of build. And this one here, I say, is the most common one. It's using some of the new cards we could see, like the Mysterious Garden and Lace Determination, but also it gains a great support for likes of the Ropes, making you draw 1 card if you start with this one, and then curl it for 1 Psychic Energy, search your neck for 3 Pokemon, putting it into your hand. So obviously great. Yes, I know we're going to be using a Team Evolution. If we have to attack with Curlier, we can set up some Pokemon. We can get our Monkey Doris in our hand, our Gardevoirs, our Klefkis, our Screamtails, and going to Screamtail. But no one's really playing Shaman. Not even like you saw in Dragapult list, it wasn't playing this one, and even like some Gardevoir, because bench space right now is so limited. People aren't really sacrificing this one. They don't see much of a threat. So Screamtail is becoming the main sort of attacking option because we can use the likes of Monkey Dory, move around some damage counters, and use maximum Screamtail's attack, and actually get some big one-hit kills on basic EXs just purely from Screamtail's attack without getting the big buff from like sort of the Bravery Charm, which can be used in this one, but mainly the Bravery Charm is going to be safe for like sort of drifting to get that big one-hit kill in the late sort of style game. This I feel like is the most common way how we are seeing Gardevoir being played. Cutting down the Monkey Dory to 3, I still think it's fine because people are prioritizing like so Screamtail as a great attacking option, and still of course playing the TM Devo because I feel like that's just the most play. If you're playing the Monkey Dory, spraying on some damage counters, you're spraying stuff in with Screamtail. Why on earth would you not play like some TM Devolution? Another one is Charizard, which is definitely gaining a lot. This build here I thought is quite unique because it isn't playing like the Dusknoir, but it is playing that copy of Psyduck. I think Psyduck is great because it helps you actually against some pretty tricky matchups. I sometimes think that Dragapult can be quite tricky against you, so instantly playing this Psyduck can really stop your opponent from actually going much more ahead of it. Yes, of course, you can do additional more damage amount of prize cards your opponent has taken, but actually limiting when they can use Dusknoir and for them to get big one-hit kills and only make you get one-hit kills, you're in definitely a much more for commanding spot. That's where I think the likes of Maximum Belt works well for Charizard. With that tacked onto this one, you can KO all of the basic EX Pokemon by doing 230 damage. Yes, you aren't KOing likes of Raging Bull, but you can have likes of Monkey Dory, Touch Dark Energy, and move around that damage counter absolutely to be much more easier and to get big one-hit KOs. I think Briar is an amazing pick right now for Charizard, a good way to cheat out to get additional more prize card, and a great other single prize attacking option being that Chi-Yu. Of course, again, Lace Determination, we're going to be talking about that a lot. It's a really good draw card right now. Things could become definitely the big replacement of Professor's Research instead of discarding with shuffling and with protection on hand. So you can potentially draw into those cards. I think in the early game here for Charizard especially, to shuffle in and draw into you have 8 on your first turn go second, or generally your second turn, is really, really powerful. And that Team Evolution, you have a good split of the Charmeleons, you have the Pidgeot line, Pidgeotto, and Pidgeot. Why on earth would you not be playing this? Mine is Grimmsnarl. Again, I mentioned before, it did gain 2 new cards, and of course is Lace Determination and that new Yveltal. The new Yveltal actually has a free retreat cost, so it becomes even better than Miraculous, and it still has Corner doing exactly the same amount of damage. Yes, we have lost the ability. I think having that 20 damage and kind of sacrifice ability to have a free retreat is a much more sort of much more of a stronger sort of pick. You can save your Air Balloon for your Minus Grimmsnarl and not really sacrifice it on a Miraculous, which sometimes can be a bit more of a liability in the late game of play. We are playing that Enhanced Hammer, and I mentioned a little bit last week. I think Enhanced Hammer could see a lot of play because most decks like Charizard will be playing Mist Energy, and we've just seen that they have actually cut that Mist Energy from their play. So actually, I do think having still Enhanced Hammer is great because you're kind of going around with one, so you can still get full access to your TM Devolution in the later start of turn. I don't think much has really changed with Minus Grimmsnarl apart from the likes of the Yveltal and the Lily's Determination. I just think they're just a great inclusion for the consistency card, towards also having a much better way of a corner response. Raging Bolt, again, hasn't really changed too much. Having that 1 Mega Kangaskhan is great for that draw factor. We talked about last week, just mixing between this, Serendipity, Mew, Team Ogophon, you can do a ton of cards right now, basically 10 cards from all of those sort of combination, which is really strong. 2 copies of Crispin, I think is good. We've seen some people play like some 3, but I still think having 2 copies is still a great one response. You can attack with Kangaskhan potentially, or get some cards if you can draw into a Team Ogophon. I just really like about where Raging Bolt is really going. I think Kangaskhan really has unlocked the deck, and that's definitely the best new card for this deck to really have to offer. As you can see here, there are a thin line of the Owls, a 1/1 line, but I'm seeing definitely much more of a deterioration away from the Owls and going much more of a heavy counts with the Kangaskhan. Yes, you can only play 1 of them per turn, but having a many of these out can be used as another attacking option, or generally having a good way to actually have that pivot with having that Latias down in play, giving that basic Pokemon free retreat. Cynthia's Garchomp is a card which definitely has gained a lot, pretty much one of the most amount from the new set. Again, that Fighting Gonk, which is our search deck for a basic Fighting Energy or Fighting Pokemon. We have the Premium Power Plus, making our Fighting Pokemon attack do 30 more damage to the active, and of course, Lose Determination, shuffling in another amazing draw factor, and that new Stadium card, making us evolve our Grass Pokemon straight away into their next stage as long as it's past your second turn. Why I think this is so powerful, we can use our Team Evolution in the early game, set up our Cat Bites, and then use our Cat Bites to use one of them to get our Cynthia's Garchomp, and hopefully with our mated draw factors from likes of Lily, from likes of the Cynthia's Call, from Champion's Call with Gabite, we can set up a 2/2 line of Rosemary straight away, play 2 Premium Power Plus. Now Cynthia's Garchomp's first attack is now doing 220 damage for 1 energy and draw until we have 6. Really powerful. Only 1 line of total is a good response against the likes of what are they called, golden goes or anything like that. So I think it's a good way to limit anyone from getting anything access from superior energy retrieval, and of course Night Stretcher, which is a much more common occurrence in most of other players' decks. Having the Picnic Basket is good against any of your minus Grimmsnarl, Gardevoir decks, actually instantly healing their stuff and potentially trapping some particularly energies on play. I really like Cynthia's Garchomp. It's a deck which has gained so much from a new set, and definitely going to be constantly going up in my archives, being one of the strongest decks to play right now, and one of potentially the best owners Pokemon right now outside of the likes of the Marnie's Grimmsnarl. Now I want to mention some 2 decks which have definitely increased a lot of play right now, and of course is Tera Box. Now we had a lot of hype in Tera Box at the start of the year over in Japan. When we got into rotation, this was looking like it was going to be the BDIF. As nobody could really respond to this one, you could easily power up a Tilmas Ogerpon, a Welshman Ogerpon, get 2 KOs on the bench, and of course we don't have any bench protection. Now we're a couple sets in. We have had this kind of go in and out, and some people did play it, and it did do pretty well at Worlds, got a top 32, so definitely going to be a lot more people's radar, and again, have 2 amazing new attackers. Of course, Mega Kangaskhan is great for that draw factor, but also you can use this attack for 3 colors energy, so 200 damage, and you can flip a coin until you get tails, and does 50 damage times the amount of heads you flip. You flip 2 heads, you do 300 damage. You flip 3, now you're blocking pretty much everything in the format. You flip 4, you've KO'd pretty much absolutely everything in the format, including a Cynthia's Garchomp with having the tool card attached to this one. Having likes of the Glass Trumpet, make sure we can attach with this one very easily. Like I mentioned before, all of these decks we've talked about, I've had no shame in. So having that in there, that means Welsh Rice Ogerpon is great. You can activate this one straight away with Sparkling Crystal. We have Crispin. You can power up as early as your first turn going second. Or even having likes of Energy Switch, Energy Search. There are so many ways about how this deck can be coming out. Absolutely no way to get these big one-hit kills. We have Pikachu, which is a good response. We have Liz Fairy. We have Trapgos. There are so many good things about this Tera Boxes right now. Again, absolutely only the 2 Mega Pokemon. Of course, we also get Mega Marwell, which is a good secondary attacking option for 2 special energies. When you've taken 4 prize cards, you're doing 320 damage to get the KO range what Pikachu can't exactly hit. So I do think this is going to be really strong right now. We're seeing a lot of talk about it in our format right now, and I think that's going to carry on right now. We're only a few weeks away from the next Champions League at the end of next month, so we'll actually see if Tera Box actually has a good showing. I personally think it can do really well, especially as no one is playing Shaman, and World Tournament Ogerpon, rightly timed, is absolutely devastating most people. And of course, it wouldn't be this channel without talking about Chien-Pao, the deck and the card, which really did put me on the map. And it's having so much chatter right now in our sort of format, but also it's having a lot of chatter right now over in Japan as well. So why on earth is it actually people talking about this one? Yes, I know it's really strong, but it did gain the likes of Air Balloon, which this list isn't playing. We also have the new Surfing Beach, which again, this deck also is not playing, a way to switch out our water Pokemon so we can activate Shivery Chill as much as possible. So honestly, I just think Chien-Pao is in a great sort of spot. We have Lily's Determination, which is amazing support for that draw factor. We have Team Team Rocket's Petrol, just gain any sort of trainer card we want to have. Skylar saw so much play, but you can team it up with the likes of Team Rocket's Playdown to get additional more draw that way. We have great attacking options with the Welsh Mouse Oglepon, like I literally just mentioned before about why it's so good for bench sniping capability. No one's playing Shaman, and you can easily chain this one, especially as we are playing likes of Super Rod and Night Stretcher, the likes of Regigigas, KO, and Terras, and having a 1-1 line of Flareon doing 180 damage if your opponent's active Pokemon is an EX, and also gets a big KOs against the likes of the Two Master Oglepons and the Golden Ghost. You actually have a great response against the level ones and force the opponent to go for a single prize Pokemon. You can easily get it straight away from having that EV use for that ability. I really like Chien-Pao. This may not be the optimal list. There are definitely some changes I would make to this one. I still think Iron Hands is great in the deck, but I really like the single price attacking option with that Flareon because I would not be thinking that strategy whatsoever. Again, this is just another way about how people are being really innovative right now in this format. So I really like where Chien-Pao is going. I still think it is just not as strong as it once was. I think with the cards like this, Chien-Pao could actually end with a big high and actually be quite strong right now. And a lot of people are talking and playing it right now. And finally, the last card I want to talk about, again, they're talking about the Shaman possibly, Mega Venusaur with Weltering Master Oglepon. Really played 2 Master Drop, put a ton of grass energy attached to this one, really moving out quite easily like Sylvie and Venusaur. But imagine your second turn, just playing this down out of nowhere, attaching water energy, and then moving 1 grass energy. Now, suddenly we can use the attack to 100 damage and 120 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. This is absolutely terrifying right now. The opponent may not even expect this one. They'd be thinking you to go with a big healing factor with likes of Mega Venusaur or go attacking with that one, or going with the 2 Master Oglepon, like being a much more of a Ultra attacking option. No one would expect this card to actually hit in the bench. I really like seeing this initiative right now. Could we generally see this as the main sort of approach? But however, we can see Mega Venusaur going with this one, having great sort of support Pokemon, instead of just being a pure grass deck. So come the big sort of takeaways right now as we gear up to the gym. The City League returning next week. Big thing is, Least Determination is pretty much in nearly every single deck right now. It is becoming either it's a one-off or mainly it counts a 3 or 4 of in nearly every deck. It is an amazing draw supporter. I've talked about how powerful it is. Just drawing 8 in the early game is so strong. Those 2 additional cards can help you get set up. You put Charizard in the game, you put Dragapult in the game, you put Gardevoir in the game. All of them can absolutely, those 2 additional cards, it is so crucial to play. No one is playing Shaman right now. No bench protection is pretty much available to anyone. We already have Shaman in nearly everything, but it's an 80 HP Pokemon, which can be quite difficult to gameplay. And right now we're in a format which definitely is a lot more crucial, but when they are putting their bench sort of spaces, they don't want to be giving up one to a card, which is a terrible one to start with, or generally just like may not be as strong. So I generally feel like because of this one, we're going to see a lot more bench sniping. We've seen it with Screamtail, we've seen it with a Welsh Master Oglepon, and we can even see it with like Endora with copying and Ramatam. So generally, there are some amazing bench sniping Pokemon right now. People really need to be putting Shaman right now. The form is keeping up Mega Pokemon. I think that's the most important thing right now. Mega Pokemon, the big sort of key decks of them are literally just Mega Lucario and Mega Venusaur, which make about 5% of the meta. And again, like support Pokemon and stuff like that, maybe it's about 10% of the meta is Megas. So we are still seeing the format is actually keeping up. And some of it with that, there is very much a little shake-up with what some of the best decks are. If we talk about most recently what the top 5 decks for like the last couple months, you will go, oh, it's Dragapult, it's Charizard, it's Gardevoir, definitely, that's up the top. It's going to go minus Grimmsnarl, stuff like that. There hasn't really changed whatsoever in this sort of time in Raging Bull. So all those top 6 decks, which people have been playing for effectively the entirety of this season, is still going strong. And that's definitely one of the reasons why I think there is very much that little shake-up, but there is no single prize attacking option decks. There are some single prize support Pokemon, which are doing really well. Think about Noctowl, think about Drip Cloak. We've seen some great sort of synergies in that way with great attacking options, but really it's mainly focused on like, yes, you can go, oh, Screamtail, Drifloon, they're amazing to single prize Pokemon, but they're really affiliated with Gardevoir, and the amazing way about how they're doing additional damage that way is because of Gardevoir. So I do think this is a big takeaway right now. There is no single price decks. It's had a little shake up right now with the Mega Pokemon, so the format is really keeping up with this one, but no one is playing Shaman, and everyone is playing Least Determination. So generally looking ahead, how can we see the meta shift really change when the City Leagues return? I do believe they are returning this weekend coming. So next week we'll be discussing how that is really kind of going around this one. What are some of the most key sort of archetypes go around this one? And will Gardevoir be still up at the absolute top? Or could like the Dragapult and how the Mega decks will really keep up? Can any of the decks really compete with likes of Gardevoir? we've seen lots of great darkness decks. I would say the reason why Charizard, Grimmsnarl, and Ensorok are doing really well is purely because they have an amazing factor because they hit for Gardevoir for weakness. And of course, our Mega Pokemon is still healthy. I think we've just talked about how Mega decks purely focus on Mega that are only 5% of the metagame. I think right now it is in a healthy sort of position. I think Grimsley, the new sort of supporter card, will really definitely push the boundaries when we see that next sort at the end of the month, just after the Champions League, about how it will really sort of impact the format. So I will really be intrigued to see about how the metagame really shift in that sort of time. So hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, please make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below. What do you think about the Mega Evolution format? Do you think the decks have really effectively and been adapted accordingly, or do you think there could be some more changes right now to the format? So, my TCG, and I'll see you guys later. Bye for now.